What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here. I have the pleasure of chatting with Aleksandr Molochnikov, the director of Extremist, currently shortlisted for the Academy Award for Best Live Action Short. Alexander, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. So, this film was inspired by real events that were still unfolding as you were writing it.
That's right.
How did your responsibility to Sasha, and as a real person, not just a symbol, how did it shape the earliest decisions that you made about the tone and the point of view you wanted in this film?
Well, yeah, it's very hard to film about someone who is in prison at the moment, and it's a huge responsibility and a big question, like, should we even do that? Is it not going to make it worse? Is it not going to make her situation worse? Um, but we really were in touch with her through Sonia, her girlfriend, who is also the character of the film. And we felt like it's fine. We should be doing it and that it would help it and they want it to be made. So, and they don't have anything against it and they gave us the freedom to do it. So then we just really try to be truthful.
And as you were developing the screenplay and having conversations with Sasha, with Sonia, how did that going? So you said they were open to telling this story, but as you were developing it, were there any shifts where there were things like maybe we include this, maybe we not, and
No,
walking that
th-
line because of like the people that are watching this and the whole censorship piece of it?
well, they didn't censor us, and the Russian authorities we didn't ask, of course. I'm sure they would censor the whole thing if they could. But Sasha is an artist herself, and she said, "You are artists from prison." She gave us that feedback. So try to be inspired by our story and take it where you feel you should be taking it. And that was very incredible. It was their position.
And as you're filming it, I noticed, and so I'm curious to know how you collaborate with your cinematographer. The camera, oftentimes, as we're watching this, it feels more observational rather than expressive, right? So, but then there were times when we went in. So, how did you decide when you should be intervening emotionally with these characters or staying neutral as the observer?
That's a very complicated thing. It's basically being subjective or objective, right? Um, I we try to just be honest and sort of go with the gut feeling of and make our choices in each scene according to some emotional impulse, I would say. But we prepped a lot. We for a short, I think we took about half a year between the script was finished and starting to shoot to just really, really, really think through what we're doing and why we're doing it.
As you were working with your cast, how did you go about what was your rehearsal process like working with the actors, what context they had to communicate with the people they were playing, and how did you work with them to build these characters?
Lots of rehearsing. We found them in Tbilisi. There's not too many Russian actors who left, Russian-speaking actors who left and who can film in this movie because people who are still in Russia wouldn't be able to film in this film. They'd get arrested for that. So we had to find these two beautiful actors in Tbilisi who I knew for their previous work and always was a fan of. And well, basically, we rehearsed every scene, I would say. You know, we really went through because it's very hard to find the truth in a speech when you are acting a speech that was actually said in court. It's very hard to stay real, I would say. And we were trying to find that realism and at the same time find cinematic I would say magnetism of it too, because sometimes the reality, the documental reality, is good for docs, and when you translate it into narrative film, it does require some tweaks, I think, in my opinion.
As you've gone to have a few projects under your belt, what I love to ask filmmakers when I have the opportunity, as you go from project to project, what would you say is one of your best practices that you have picked up as a filmmaker that you like to take with you as you go from project to project? And what would you say, and maybe it was on Extremist, has been your biggest learning curve that you're like, ooh, I want to try to skate
A
past
lot,
that?
lots, honestly, but mainly that. working with Misha, the cinematographer, Misha Kretschmann, who is a A-class cinematographer, amazing DP, that every shot doesn't, that you don't have to shoot coverage, basically, that you don't need to shoot every single close up, every detail, that sometimes you just place the camera once in a spot and tell the story with one shot. And it's not like those combined shots when there's a long take, flying around on a steady cam, but just one place on a tripod, that can tell a story in a very unique way and make it sort of clean and um, make the film a mosaic of beautiful tiles rather than a bunch of mixed up shit.
And finally, after people spend time in your world, what are you hoping people take away from Extremist when they walk out of the theater?
Well, I think people today in a very actively changing world, in America changing every day as well, and protesters getting beaten up not only in Russia but also here. I think that people should take away that it's very rare to be as courageous as Sasha, to stand for what you believe to the end and risk your freedom. I'm not one of those people. I wouldn't be able to risk my freedom and go to prison for my beliefs. I think I would be scared to do that. Um, and I think that I think that people should think that there are, and remember the last subtitle of our film, that there are over 1,000 political prisoners in Russia today, and that they should be freed. Um, and that reporting on each other, like the old lady did, is a very dangerous, a very tricky action that should not be taken too easily, because involving authorities into your little human communications is always dangerous, even if you think it's very much justified that you involve them. It's involving a big power that eventually might harm the reporter as well. I mean, the person who reported, in a bad reported meaning like told on someone, right?
Yeah. Well, Alexander, thank you so much for taking the time. It's a beautiful, powerful film, and all the best of luck with it on its journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you.